In September 2015, I made the move from Nigeria to the United States of America. Now, this was not a solo victory at all because it was thanks to the people I had in my life, such as my family and diverse types of angels. Now, what better time to visit the parable of the Good Samaritan than when I'm celebrating my 10-year anniversary in the United States? In today's video, I will not only be teaching you what you most likely missed in the parable of the Good Samaritan, I will also be giving you 2 lessons drawn from that parable and from my life experiences that can help you position yourself better to encounter angels. I'm talking your Good Samaritan. Now, welcome back to our Distiller Ride, where we step into ancient stories with a modern heart. Let's get into the story, shall we? The parable of the Good Samaritan comes from the book of Luke, and this happened when Jesus was preaching, and Jesus actually told this parable, by the way. So Jesus was preaching, and there was a smarty pants in there, and the man who asked, and he was like, "Oh, master, how can I inherit eternal life?" And Jesus was like, "What is in the book of law? Like love your neighbor, love God, love all this, right?" And the man was like, "Who is my neighbor?" So Jesus decided to answer his smarty pants question with a parable. And I love my Lord and Savior because of all these parables. Now, this parable itself will be brought out from the book of St. Luke, chapter 10. I will be reading from verse 30 to 33. Okay? Let's read, shall we? And Jesus answering said, "A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and fell among thieves, which stripped him of his raiment, and wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. And by chance there came down a certain priest that way, and when he saw him, he passed by to the other side. And likewise a Levite, when he was at the place, came and looked on him, and passed by on the other side. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him." Now, that is verse 33. If you can see in this parable, right, a certain man was wounded and he was led for dead by the side of the road. Now, a priest came, and when he saw him from afar, and he just moved ahead, right? He crossed to the side of the road because it was like, "I'm not about to do this today." Now, a Levite, for those who ask like, "Oh, who is a Levite?" A Levite is kind of like a priest, right? So they dedicate their life to serve God. That's from the tribe of Levi, right? So the Levites saw this man. Not only saw the man, he went up to him, he looked at him just to see his condition, right? He looked at him and he moved to the other side. I'm not gonna lie, that part really got me because it's just like he did not just see him from afar, he walked up to him. And he said, "And likewise a Levite, when he was at the place, came and looked on him, and passed by to the other side." And then guess where the help came from? From the unexpected place, the Samaritan. Now, one might wonder, why is it that the Samaritan is where we consider the unexpected place for help? Was because Jews and Samaritans were known not to be in cahoots with each other, meaning that they were not very friendly. You wouldn't find a Jew and a Samaritan just having a drink or talking or just being in fellowship with each other at all. So when the Samaritan actually helped this man, it was like, wow, this is so unlikely. And now this just reverting back to my own story and, like just being in the United States of America. When I first came to USA, I lived with someone who was actually a pastor. So this was really nice because you feel safe. Like, okay, yes, these are my people, right? You feel good. But months after, the certain pastor was like, "I can't do this anymore with you. Like, I just can't. You have to leave." And of course, think about how I must have felt at that point. Confused. I was like, what is going on? What is going to happen to me? Like, what is going to come out of me if I don't even have a house to live? And I'm talking about the winter season is not even a friendly season. Now, what happened next changed my entire life. Just picture this. I am a preacher's kid, so that means I grew up in church, and all I know was Christianity. The person who actually came to my aid during this time happened to be a Buddhist. And I'm not gonna lie, I was very, very scared. I was nervous. I was like, I don't even know if this is gonna work out. But this certain man, he gave me a room in his house. And I know And one of my fears at that point is like, oh my goodness, this is not even a woman. This is a whole man. What am I going to do? I was so scared that I did not even tell my parents what was happening. I told them that one of my female friends had helped me. Meanwhile, nobody else was actually going to help me. And the reason why I told them that was because obviously, as a child, you want to shield your parents from certain things. And I felt like it was my responsibility to shield them from that pain of just knowing that I'm out there with no one to look after me. I think that was just like my responsibility. And I told them that they actually believed me. I told them later what happened. And I think they were very like heartbroken. But that is even besides the point. The fact that what came up as help for me at that point in time was a person that I would not expect. If anyone had asked me, who do you think would help you when you were homeless? I would say, of course, people from my church, my bestie, anybody. But as a Christian young girl, I was never taught to think outside the box and realize that God can use anybody. God can use anybody to help you in your time of need. And I'm telling you, the Lord showed up and showed out because I was safe. I was safe. Not only did I have a roof over my head, I was safe during that period of time. Man, I had different fears. I was like, oh, what if something happens to me? What if, he tries to attack me at night? What if this? What if that? But what option did I have? It was either stay outside or take this help that the Lord was sending to you. And all I did at that point was I prayed unto God and I was like, Lord, I know I'm not going out this way. I know I have a purpose in this land. And guess what? Help coming from unlikely places. So this is the story of the Good Samaritan. In my story, my Good Samaritan was a Buddhist guy. And the reason why I'm emphasizing on the fact that he was Buddhist is because I am like, like we grow up being so religious that we don't believe that anything else exists outside of our Christian religion. And anyone else does not exist. And everyone else is bad. And everyone else does not have our good interest. But I'm telling you that the Lord can send anybody to help you out of that pit. So if you are out there today and you're feeling like, oh, I'm looking for help, but you're looking at certain places for help, I promise you, sometimes even when help don't come from where you're looking at, you just have to focus your eyes on God and he'll send that help. And when you get that help, do not throw away that help because it's not from where you're expecting it from. Back to the parable of the Good Samaritan. What happened after this Good Samaritan actually found this man? What did he do? What he did was he went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring in oil and wine, and set him on his own beast, and brought him to an inn and took care of him. And on the morrow, when he departed, he took out 2 pence and gave them to the host, and said unto him, Take care of him, and whatsoever thou spendest more, when I come again, I will repay thee. Now, Jesus asked a question, and he said, Which now of these 3 thinkest thou was neighbor unto him that fell among the thieves? And the smarty pants just had to answer, and he said, He that showed mercy on him. Then said Jesus unto him, Go and do likewise. So the story of the Good Samaritan teaches us that help sometimes will not come from the likely places. The people that you look up to help you may not be the ones that will rise up. But when God sends you help, imagine if the man that was dying on the wayside, when he was lost in between consciousness, he opened up one eye and he was like, a Samaritan, leave me alone. Leave me alone. I would rather die than to receive help from you. I promise you, he would have been gone. But that is what a lot of us do. Now, this leads us to the lessons from the parable of the Good Samaritan. The first lesson is positioning is key. Closed mouths don't get fed. Now, the reason why I say this is because a lot of times we're going through situations in our life like you need help, but you cannot talk to somebody. You have to position yourself in a place where help can find you. Like in the story of the Good Samaritan, for example, luckily for him, when the thieves had dropped him, right, they dropped him on the side of the road. Imagine if they had dropped him inside the forest. Where would people actually find him? Like the Samaritan, people are on the road. You have to position yourself where your helpers can find you. So that means that if you're needing certain help, you can't just stay at home and be crying over a certain situation. Position yourself. I'm telling you, there's so many things in my life within my 10 years of being in the United States that I've received because I position myself. You have to position yourself. You have to go out and find those help. In my own situation, when I had my friend help me out when I was homeless, I was in the international, international association, like I was somewhere. That was how I was able to meet that person. Imagine if I didn't have any relationship with people, if I wasn't talking to people, if I wasn't nice to people, if I just stayed back somewhere and I was just crying in the house where no one would see me. How do you think that help will find you? Really? So positioning is key. Make sure you learn how to position yourself. And when I say closed mouths don't get fed, I don't mean that go around and harass people with, like the situations of your life. No, I'm saying that when you're placed in a place and you grow relationship with people, when your demeanor change, right? People will be like, oh, what is wrong with you? Don't say, oh, nothing. No, when people ask you what is wrong with you, open up and tell them. And oftentimes the Lord will place certain people in your mind to actually talk to, right? And in this point, the Lord actually placed that friend of mine in my mind. As a matter of fact, when the thought came the first time, I was like, I rebuke you because you cannot be the voice of the Lord. And then it came again. But you have to be able to talk to people and not just harass them with your needs, but actually talk to them. And you will find out that people are most likely to help you when you are actually a good person to them or you've been good to others. So it's like whatever goes around comes around. If you know that you are needing help, go ahead and be help to someone else when you can. Don't just be the type that takes, and then you want help from everybody, but you're not willing to help others. Are you that type of person? You need to change. You need to change your strategy. Make sure that you're genuine and position yourself. I'm telling you, positioning is key. I don't know how to stress this enough, but I'm just going to leave it right there. Positioning is key. The second lesson for this video is that human angels have their seasons. Oftentimes, when people help us, we expect them to continue helping us. We feel like just because the Lord has used them in our life once, the Lord should continue using them. And guess what happens then? We begin to rely more on the person than on the provision that is coming from God. So many times you will realize that people help you, but they cannot help you forever because their human angel sends you at that point in your life. So know when to move on without holding a grudge. Now, thinking back on my story, when this pastor said, yo, I cannot house you anymore, it's time for you to move on. Of course, was I frustrated? Yes, I was. Was I hurt? Yes, I was. Was I distraught? Yes, I was. Because I don't know anybody else. But one thing that I love that the Lord really did with my life and my heart was that I was able to move on without a grudge because I understood that she played her part. This person played their part. The Lord literally used them to house me coming into the States for the very first time. A lot of people, when people do something for you and, and over time they're not able to help you out any longer, you get so mad at them. Maybe you should consider that people are actually going through stuffs of their own. People are going through their own things. Life is not just all about you. So when human angels are in that season and they've helped you, when it gets to a season and the Lord is no longer using them to help you, understand when to move on without a grudge. Going back to the story of the Good Samaritan, if you notice, the man was like, when I come back, I'll pay you guys. Do you think that the Good Samaritan just kept on coming back and giving the man money? No. And imagine if the man that was beat on the wayside, imagine if he expected the Good Samaritan to just take on all of his bills forever just because he helped him one time. That is wrong. And that is one mistake that we as humans make. When someone helps us out, we expect them to help us out forever. No. Know when it's time to move on. To stop holding grudges with people who have helped you out in certain seasons of your life just because they couldn't continue helping you. Remember where your help comes from. Your help comes from the Lord. At that point in time, the Lord may have used that person to help you. Does not mean that your source of your help comes from that person. No, they're human just like you. They may be struggling just like you, but in different areas of their life. So do not be reliant on one person, on a human, and now forsake the real source of your strength, which is God. Now, when one door closes, another opens. When you're a child of God, when one opportunity goes away, another one would come. Now, what do you do now? What do you do? What really do you do, right? You adapt. You have to adapt. So that is it. You have to adapt. Human angels have their seasons. Understand that and do not hold a grudge. Last but not the least, I have a bonus tip for you, and that is relationship over religion. Now, I know I may hurt a couple people's feelings with this, but I'm telling you, the moment that you put religion above everything, you have a tendency to go the wrong way. When you think that your help should only come from certain people, people that look a certain way should only be the ones that can help you out, and you don't become open-minded to all the good things that the Lord wants to bring into your life, to the different type of people the Lord wants to use to bless you, you may be missing some blessing. So what I do want to encourage you to do today is to go back and reflect upon your life and realize, is there any way that I am closing up doors for myself? Am I ignoring my own Good Samaritan? Who are the people around me that I have become so reliant on that I'm like, oh, my help has to come from them. If it's not coming from them, I can't take it from anyone else. No, your help comes from the Lord. The Lord is the true source, the only source that never runs dry. So when you depend on religion, you can go astray. But now what you need to do is to grow a relationship with God. Develop that relationship so that when you need something, you go straight to the source. Yo, this is the end of today's video. I have enjoyed the parable of the Good Samaritan. I love it so much because it also has so much personal meaning to me. Now, as I continue with my life and also meeting angels such as yourself today, I hope that I've been able to impart your life. And if anything, I love you and God loves you more. See you next time. Bye.